He's going to have a nervous breakdown soon.
So, answers to your questions? Still the same.
Hello? What? All the people who told me not to supercharge the M3? Yes. Yes, I know you said it'd ruin it. Yes, I know you said it'd ruin me. But I've nearly fixed it. So I can't give up now. Right, lots of people told me not to supercharge my M3 because it would ruin it, it would break it, but in reality, it's mainly broken me, financially and mentally.
He's going to have a nervous breakdown soon. Supercharged kit needs to go.
I think we're going to have to call it a day. If we want a fast car, we'll have to get one of these F-Series ones, I think. This journey has not been an easy one. But in this video, I'm going to expose all of the issues that we've had, try and advise you if you're thinking of doing this yourself on where not to go and what not to do. We've learned the hard way. There wasn't the information out there for us without trolling through the internet, finding many people who advise us loads of different things. Some of them are right, some of them are wrong. So we're going to discuss everything that we've learned for doing the Harrop supercharger conversion on our M3, and hopefully it will prevent anyone having these issues that we've had again, because I would not wish the issues that we've had on anyone. Right, let's sit back and let's go from the start. So I've had my M3 for over 4 years now, and we've done countless track days. Countless road trips. The car has literally been an absolute saviour to me. It's never really had anything major wrong with it. We've done all the preventative maintenance that you'd normally do on the E90 M3s, rod bearers, throttle actuators, that sort of stuff. And it's been a good car to me, but we deal with a lot of F-Series BMWs. We do a lot of tuning on them. We build some really fast cars. And my little E90, despite it being my favourite, is a little bit slow. Well, obviously it's not slow if you compare it to a 200 horsepower car, but in the types of cars that we deal with, it was just too slow. Now, there was a couple of things we could do with this. I could get rid of the car, get an F-Series one, build that to the same spec that we do everyone else's cars, and go as fast as we possibly can with it. But I personally love the E90 platform and love the sound that it makes. For me, the noise of a car is the biggest thing. So I wanted to try and improve on, one, the noise, and two, the overall experience, i.e. how fast it is. There's a lot of supercharger kits on the market, ESS, G-Power, Harrop, to name a few. But the other ones other than the Harrop kit that we've used, they are a centrifugal type supercharger. So they sound more like a turbo, which sounds great. I kind of wanted that Hellcat type whine that you get from an American muscle car. So we decided to go for the Harrop kit. Now, a friend of mine was selling the Harrop kit that he'd had on two of his cars. He had it in a 1 Series. That was all over YouTube. It had been unofficially gassed. And he then got bored of the 1 Series, put everything into a E90 Touring, which was really cool. Both extremely cool cars. But their difference to mine was they were both manual. The kit on both the cars was running a syvecs ECU and was supposedly running 8 PSI at around 680 horsepower. So the figures are quoted. Bought the kit, bolted it to the car as quickly as I could, really. There was a few extra sensors that needed added in for the syvecs. So we got it all wired in, got everything working okay. The car started, ran, drove perfectly fine. But one of the things that the previous owner said to me was there's a slight issue with the syvecs ECU, it needs to be sent off for an update. So we got all the car running, we were confident that it was all done okay, sent the ECU off for an update. ECU came back and the car seemed to be running a little bit different. It had lost all of the maps that was already on there that the previous owner had spent a lot of money on getting it tuned. And the gearbox was just pretty much undrivable. So I believe after speaking to syvecs do the software and HAL Engineering build the ECUs to be plug and play. So the ECU was sent off to HAL, came back, gearbox wasn't running right, all the maps were gone. So we sent the car back to HAL Engineering, took it all the way down there on a trailer for them to basically just sort all the gearbox mapping out on it and get a decent safe tune on there. So they had it for probably about 2 weeks. We picked the car up and pretty much immediately realised that the gearbox mapping on it was absolutely terrible. It was almost driving like the best way to describe it is like a 3-speed auto, old school 1960s American muscle car. It was just sloppy, slipping everywhere, and all of the features that the car had previously, like cruise control, all that sort of stuff, weren't working. So told HAL the issues that I'd had, told them I wasn't happy with it. They had it back a few weeks later and pretty much just changed the gearbox mapping again, but it still wasn't as it was with the standard ECU. So I went back there and I spent the day with Gareth from HAL Engineering, getting the gearbox to try and feel as close to OEM as possible, but it never felt really close. And that was at the point where we could drive the car and do track days with it and stuff like that, but there was still like intermittent issues, like as you can see in the previous videos, which we'll leave up in the corner, the video where we had the syvecs ECU on, it would just randomly not work. Like the gearbox would just randomly not work at all. You try and pull off at a junction and it'd just rev up because it thinks it's in neutral and stuff like that.
That's a f***ing gearbox playing us straight away. Did you get that? Yeah. You know, that's what I mean.
Again, messaged HAL, they said, yeah, we can sort it. But at this point, we'd been messing about for 3, maybe 4 months, and we were no further forward. The car was still pretty much undrivable. I wouldn't trust it on a long journey. Certainly wouldn't trust it on a track day. So the decision was made in the first video that we did on the car to revert back to the stock ECU.
Oh God.
Reverting back to stock basically means that I had to speak to Harrop, and we spoke to Harrop and they recommended who they use for tuning on the off-the-shelf kits, and they said that we would need a bypass valve controller and a new bypass valve, which is normally controlled by the syvecs in the setup it was in, but we used the standard bypass valve controller, and a tune from BPM Sport, which are the people who do the factory tunes for Harrop. So we did all that, paid for the new bypass valve, paid for the new controller, paid BPM Sport an extortionate amount for a map, which is like way more than I've ever paid for any map ever, especially one that you just flash on the car. But that being said, it's supposed to be the off-the-shelf map that works with the Harrop kit. So I was relatively confident that it would just work. And we put it all on, and if you look in the video where we just got it all installed, everything seemed to be okay, but there's a couple of points in that video where I said that we were having issues with the gearbox slipping. I do think that in like 5th and 6th gear then the gearbox might be slipping a bit. I'm not sure if that's just the wet weather or not. And the next day after we'd filmed that video, the spark plugs were all toast. The car was almost running like an old 1980s car, which the points had gone, the spark plugs had sutted up. It was running like that. So we changed all the spark plugs, that went away and it ran fine. But in the video after that, we took it to the dyno to see how much horsepower it was making. It wasn't making a great deal of horsepower, nowhere near the sort of quoted figures we were expecting. And also on the way back from the dyno, we killed another set of plugs. So we've done about 40 or 50 miles on each set of plugs. So we're 3 sets of plugs in now, and I'm speaking to BPM Sport, trying to get answers on what's going on with 1, the clutch slip, and 2, the stuttering that seems to be killing the plugs. They've told me that there must be something wrong with the car. So we've gone through, we changed every single sensor we can think of that would affect this. We changed lambda sensors, we've checked for boost leaks, we've changed the plugs again, we changed coil packs, we checked the injectors. everything's fine. The clutch slip, they've said it's got to be some lasting damage from the syvecs ECU. So we changed the gearbox, put a low mileage gearbox in from a car that we knew drove okay, from a friend of ours who drove the car that the gearbox came out of and told me it was absolutely perfect. And I'm pretty confident that he knows what a perfect gearbox is, because that's all he does. So we put this gearbox in, exactly the same.
So, answers to your questions?
Still the same.
Still the same?
Yeah. Spoke to BPM again and said, look, we've changed the gearbox, we've changed all the sensors, we've changed all the plugs, it's still doing exactly the same thing. He's then gone through and said, well, have you checked this, have you checked that? Can you turn your, can you overfill your gearbox, see if that helps with your clutch slip? Reset all the adaptations, which we'd already done, but we reset it again anyway. And it was still pretty much the same. It made it a little bit better, overfilling the gearbox a bit, but it was still pretty much the same. So after doing some digging, I came across Trevor from Woodward Motorsport in America. Turns out he's got exactly the same setup as I have on his E92 M3. And when he was running the BPM Sport tune, he had exactly the same problems. He also knows of, because he mainly deals with supercharged cars over in America where they are. And turns out that he knows quite a few people who've had exactly the same issues with the BPM Sport tune. So I said to him, what tune is he using for a start? And he's recommended me over to Alpine Motorsport, who have done lots of fixes for BPM Sports tunes. We've recently, within the past day or so, got their tune on the car and it's all sorted.
No black smoke either, I'm happy with that.
Is he?
No black smoke.
Sweet.
It's the biggest smile I've seen on your face in a while, that, mate.
It burns a little bit of fuel. So not only are they better at communicating than BPM Sport, the main thing with BPM Sport was I would send them a message and they would get back to me maybe 3 days later. And any revisions that I wanted was just a massive inquest into why I wanted them, what was wrong with the car and all that sort of stuff. Alpine have literally sorted my car within a day. We spoke to them on the Friday, the dongle was shipped out and we got it on the Monday. Someone's winding me up here.
Why?
So fast, no, you recycling.
The tune was done on the Monday evening and it's sorted. No more slip. The slight hesitation was still there, but they sent me a second revision, which has now fixed that. So Alpine Motorsport have literally saved the day on this car. Now I'm running the stage 2 pulley still, and we're running all the same stuff that BPM said must have been wrong, and the car's running perfect. It's exactly how I want it to be now. So what has this whole experience taught us? Now, even though companies are able to sell products online or they're able to sell you services, doesn't necessarily mean that they're complete, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they are suitable for what you need it for. A company that operates shadily will try and sell you something whether they think it's suitable for you or not. In our instance, we've had 2 companies. The first one, albeit we didn't buy the product off them, it is sold as a DCT ready product, and it's obviously not, because the people who make it cannot make it work with a DCT. So it's sold as a DCT product and it's not. The second one was sold as an off-the-shelf tune that should work straight away with the car, and it didn't. And not only that, there was absolutely no support offered for revisions in a very long period of time, meaning that we had to go elsewhere for the final product, which has finally fixed the car. So all that's left to do now is to drive the car like I've been wanting to for the past 9 months, ever since I installed this supercharger. Now, we're going to drive this car hard, but I think we need a challenge. And I'm not just talking about a race on a dual carriageway. I want to race someone to a different country. So if you think you're up to the job, get in touch. And if you think you know someone who's up to the job, tag them in the comments and we'll get something set up. Because I really need a challenge in 2025. And to make sure that you don't miss out on all the exciting things that we're going to be doing in 2025, make sure that you like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and if you want us to improve on anything, comment below and let us know what you think.